Hey, welcome to another episode of the Denial of the Day podcast. I have my claims manager, Chris, on here, and we want to speak about something that has happened recently in the news. Most people are still talking about it, and it is a terrible situation. However, we want to really speak about what came about that and what is going to happen in the future and what we experience not only in the insurance realm, but other realms. Specifically, what we do is property insurance claims and what happened to the CEO that was unalived in New York from United Healthcare was obviously health insurance. So, Chris, where should we start on this?
Well, that's a good point. I mean, first of all, this is a tragic, obviously. I mean, you know,
Yes.
having so many gunned down in New York the way he did, complete tragedy.
Yeah.
One of the things that really kind of surfaced, from the news and everything is that what was on these actual bullet casings that caught everyone's attention. I
Definitely.
believe it was deny, defend, depose, and has to do also from a book. I forget the title of it in the Arthur. But I don't know. What does that kind of mean to you, Taylor? Especially you've been doing this a lot longer than I have in the
Yeah,
insurance world.
for
So,
sure. Yeah, Chris, to answer your question, and first and foremost, it is super tragic. It is super sad. I'm sure he thought that he would see his family again. And so there's a lot of opinions. I get it. It's a really heated topic and a heated argument in this moment because of what's happening in this environment, insurance, right? But ultimately, you had hit the nail on the head. It was deny or delay, deny, depose. And it actually comes from the book delay, defend, deny. And in our industry, property insurance, and I forgot the author, but in property insurance, we talk about four things. We added a D because this is what we experience, and I'm sure this happens also on other insurance claims, but we have delay, diminish, deny, defend. And those are the four things that come up because most people are experiencing this in the insurance world. And so I'll just speak to my experience, okay? Delaying, so insurance companies delay claims. What should take 30 days now takes 60 or 90 days. Chris, haven't we seen that in the industry right now?
oh, absolutely. I think we're seeing it more than we ever have. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's sad. It's unfortunate because people need to get their properties replaced. Now, I don't want to really compare property and health insurance like apples to apples because if you have a
Mm.
health issue, it's obviously very urgent, things like that. People that have hail damage on their roofs, yes, it needs to be taken care of per the policy contract, but this is usually not a life-threatening situation. But the second thing we deal with is diminished. Insurance companies diminish claims. So I will share with you my experience. Okay. I filed a claim on my property for hail damage in, I think it was 2019. Got everything taken care of in 2020. But the insurance company came back after we sent them an estimate for everything that was on the repair side of things for $53,000. And the insurance company came back and said, hey, we're going to give you $22,000. What? Everything in that estimate was legitimate and reasonable. And the reason I know that is because after we pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, the insurance company came back and gave us $53,000. It was like a little over a couple $100, $53,000. Well, why would they do that if it wasn't legitimate? Well, we had to fight. And the interesting thing is, I never told them that I'm a public insurance adjuster. I just went through the process to really get the feeling and knowledge that my clients do. My insureds go through and they have told me very specific things that I got to experience. Like I've been paying my premium. I think at that time it had been for 14 years, never made a claim. And then all of a sudden they're like, no, we're not going to cover that. We're not going to give you all the money you need, even though it's legitimate and reasonable. And I'm just like, what? And so insurance companies want you to give up, but they'll diminish the claim just enough where you're like, maybe I could get away with getting it repaired, but it's still like $7,000 to $10,000 short. Well, do I have anything to fight over? And usually the answer is no. And so that's the second thing that we deal with. I mean, Chris, you can speak to this. You're the claims manager. What do you see on your side?
Yeah, absolutely. Exact same thing. I mean, I'm dealing with the insurance companies all the time on the back end,
Right.
and it's kind of the same story. There's a lot of different things that we see the exact same. It's almost like they have an internal playbook that they all follow for each
Yeah.
insurance company. And that's the frustrating part is, when there's legitimate damage that needs to be paid for, and the fact that they're delaying it, they just want people just to give up because if they give
Yeah.
up, they keep that money versus having to pay it out. So, yeah, we see a lot of it. And Taylor, what's interesting about this one because it has to do with healthcare. But I was reading an
Right.
article. I was reading an article that this I forget his name, Luigi. I forget his last name,
Yeah,
but
Mangione. Go on.
Mangione. He wasn't
Mhm.
even like part of United Healthcare. So I'm just curious as to like what was behind this. I'm sure we'll never know.
Right.
Was it I just want to make a name for myself because I hate life so much, so this is the way I'm going out? Or did something happen to a family relative or kind of just this whole anarchy? We're going after the government and this is what's wrong with it. So well, I guess we'll just never know. And it is one of those situations to where it's not easy to talk about it. That's why I wanted just to talk about it.
Right.
And um, I guess we'll see what transpires. But again, comparing to what is going around, you know, you and I both agree this should have never happened to the CEO, of course.
For
Never
sure.
in a million years. We never wish harm on anybody. But the fact that this happened and people do feel this in real life,
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where you're like, man,
Well,
that's
man,
just
I mean, and so let me finish the last 2 points. Deny. So insurance companies just deny outright legitimate claims. We have one right now. They should be paying $1.2 million and they're paying zero. And they're saying, oh, there's no damage. And everybody that looks at this is like, oh, that's legitimate hail damage on this type of substrate. No problem. There was 1 3/4 to 2 1/4 inch hail at this location. Definitely is going to damage it. And the insurance company's like, nope, not damage. What? So they deny legitimate claims and they force you to defend your claim in court. So they delay claims, they diminish claims, they deny claims, and they force you to defend your claim in court, which is what they got. The insurance companies, like Chris was talking about, the playbook they got was from McKinsey and Company back in 1996 when Allstate went to McKinsey and Company
hmm,
and said, "Hey, what do we need to do to make more money on insurance claims?" And guess what McKinsey told them after this huge long drawn out legal battle? McKinsey was forced to show their hand, and they told Allstate, delay, deny, defend. Hence the title of that book. So if
interesting.
you think this is happening for a reason, it is. And
Hmm.
so I mean, Chris, you and I have seen how frustrated these people are. We work fire claims, which are way different than a hail related claim, right? Like fire goes through your house, burns up everything, and the insurance company's
Hmm.
like, "Well, we're not sure if we owe for that, or we're not sure if we owe for this." You want to see a pissed off consumer? Do you want to see a pissed off homeowner? Tell the homeowner that just went through a fire claim that the insurance company is not going to pay for it because they're unsure if they owe for it. We don't owe for that. Oh, really? You owe to indemnify the insured, which is to make them whole, as in complete, and make them as good or better than before the loss, depending on what the policy says. I mean,
Yeah.
we deal with it all the time, right? Obviously different than health insurance, but similar in the anger and the frustration and the rage that our insureds have towards their insurer because the insurer isn't doing what they said they would in the policy. And I'm not here to make judgment. I just sit here and use my opinion and this critical thinking thing that I have in my skull that says, hey, why isn't the insurance company paying? What can we do to get them to do that?
Mhm. Yeah, no, absolutely I agree. And just to piggyback off your point, some of these fire claims and these water claims where people have literally just lost everything, that's a tough spot to be in. And especially when you just lost everything,
Yeah,
now you got to battle your insurance company where it's like, I just have this devastating thing that just went on my life right now. Now I've got to
right,
deal with this. Like we see that a lot. Not that does we try to stay emotionless as possible because in order to win this game, it's just all
that's
about
right,
following kind of the standards and the protocols that we put in place.
right.
But we do feel that pain from them as well. So,
Oh, for certain. And
um,
I think you just hit the nail on the head is if you run the claim with your emotion, which sometimes
mhm,
we allow ourselves to get into that spot because it is such a frustrating or unfair situation. But we realize when we step back and just run it factually based on the steps A through Z, our results are fantastic. I mean, our average win percentage is 97%. 97% of the claims that we get, we are going to increase the claim drastically, usually over 900% from what the insurance company initially offers. And like we have a protocol because I've been doing this going on 11 years. And That's a long time to be in one industry, and I can tell you, I've seen the game. So the game that Chris is talking about is the delay, the diminish, the deny, the defend, and we know how to push back and get the claim paid with the stuff that we can say and do to force the insurance company into a position of risk, so it's actually better for them to pay the claim than it is to not pay the claim. However, over the last few months, it's gotten even more difficult than I've ever experienced in my 11 years. But one of the things that I do want to talk about is Chris and I, like one of our favorite movies called The Rainmaker. Chris, you want to talk to that?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's a good movie. No, it's actually not funny at all, but there are some funny parts in there. I'll just leave it at that.
Right.
But no, it has to deal actually with this whole healthcare industry, and I'm sure most people have seen it before. But if you haven't, definitely watch it. I think it came out in 1997. Matt Damon
Yeah.
looks like a little kid in it. It's pretty
Yeah,
funny.
one of his
But
first movies.
he's a newly licensed attorney, and he gets brought onto this huge major class action lawsuit to where basically the insurance company isn't paying for a claim which has to deal with health, reasons. And
Right.
so there's just a lot of things actually. It's crazy because I watch that movie now. And I have always liked that movie, but I watch a movie now and it's just like, well, you actually see it from a different side because you're in this industry. And it's
Right.
funny how a lot of things still haven't changed
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
1997.
And
So,
it's one of those things, after you watch the movie, you can kind of see the perspective of what happened in this situation in New York. You can kind
mhm.
of see that. And do I know if that's what's happening? No. Do I think that's what's happening? Maybe, depending on the situation specifically. But I can tell you from our industry doing property insurance claims, man, it is so absurd sometimes. Like I was just talking about the outright denial on a hail claim that is super legitimate, damage everywhere on this specific substrate, and we're just like, why aren't you guys paying this? Oh, we don't think there's damage. Okay, whose
Mhm.
eyes are you using? Right? Because it's obvious from a distance and you can tell. And so it's just one of those things like what can clients do, Chris? What can they do to fight back?
Well, there's a lot of different things they can do. I think the first thing is, and this is going to be a tough one, is keep trying to keep the emotions out of it because
Right,
there are certain things that if you say something, keep in mind in this day of world, this day and age, everything's recorded.
right.
So you got to be very, very careful with what you say. You got to almost check your emotions out. You got to just make sure that you almost have like a checklist and you just want to be the investigator, if you will. You want to make sure that you document everything. Like pretend like your claim's going to go to legal and it's going to go to an attorney. If you set it up properly to where that attorney can look at it and these are the steps that were taken. I'm talking about even like login like telephone calls. And this is when I spoke to the adjuster in this date. This is what they're saying now. And keep everything in writing. Your chances of getting that claim resolved and closed out in your favor are going to be a lot higher than just kind of running from the gun, if you will, running from the hip. So shoot from the
Yeah.
hip. Got
Yeah.
it. So,
So ultimately, it's one of those things like, don't give up. The insurance company wants you to give up. That's their number one thing of line of defense is if we string this out long enough, the insured will give up. And guess what? Most people do. You don't have to. You can get in touch with us, bellatorclaims.com, and we can help you with your property insurance claim. If it's residential, commercial, industrial, school district, municipality, whatever that might be, let us know because we can help you with that. And that's what we do every single day. We fight the insurance company on behalf of the insured as an advocate for the insured when we're public insurance adjusters to help the insured get what they're rightfully owed. Simple as that. And
yep.
don't give up. Have the right verbiage, have the right templates, have everything you need to be able to fight on your behalf and be your best advocate on your claim and understand the process. Make sure you read your policy. Chris, if we had 100 clients send us an insurance claim, how many of those clients have read their insurance policy?
Probably one, if even that.
I would agree with that. One out of 100, 99% don't read it, but that's where all the power is in your policy. It outlines exactly what the agreement is between you and the insurer, which is the insurance company or the carrier, right? The different names for the same thing, but your policy, which is a contract, outlines everything you need to know on how you can best win your claim. And that's what we want to help you do. So, Chris, anything else, my friend?
No, the only thing I would just say, circling back kind of off of a different topic here, is what is going on with all these like memes and stuff around this person, like this Luigi guy, where I don't know if you've seen this. People are posting this on Facebook, like,
Uh-uh.
"Hey, I was with Luigi on the day that it happened. Here we are together in this picture," and it's like it's going viral. Like,
Dude.
what is
Yeah.
wrong with people? Come on, guys. If someone
Yeah,
just
that's
got
crazy.
shot, that's a little just messed up. So I
Yeah,
don't know
man.
what's going on.
It's one of those things. I think it has struck a nerve. It has really struck a chord and people are frustrated. And that's
Yeah,
okay. I get it. It's how you actually express that frustration is what matters. And what happened there, not right. It's not the way to go about it. There are ways to do it the correct and legitimate way. So yeah, man, it's so crazy. But I have seen some of that stuff on both sides, right?
yeah,
And I think somewhere in the middle is the truth, and I don't know if we'll ever actually hear it.
yeah.
So with that said, if you need help with a property insurance claim, if it's residential, commercial, industrial, medical, school district, municipality, HOAs, if you have multiple buildings, let us know. Contact us today, bellatorclaims.com. The sooner you contact us, the better we can help because there are dates and expirations in your policy and state law that require us to abide by those dates. And if we're close to those dates, we might not be able to help you. So contact us as soon as you possibly can.